Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with Anna Kujawa-Quinn. And we are going to start off our session like we often do in some going within time, some little bit of meditation time. If nothing else, just to allow your mind to release your day, allow your mind to rest. Just do something crazy radical and do nothing for a few moments and just be. I know it's very radical, but it actually feels really good. All right, so if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes and take a breath. Just let it all go. Let your day go. Stuff that's occupying your conscious mind right now, just let it go. It'll be here later if you want to pick it back up on your way out of class. Our goal for a few moments is the quiet mind, an open mind, a healed mind, a mind at peace, and maybe even experiencing a touch of the ecstasy of God's mind, the mind that we are in. What is a quiet mind? What is an open mind? What is a mind at rest? What does it feel like to feel not alone on the inside? Course in Miracles talks about our one self. Our one self that is connected with our source and at one with every aspect of creation. Let's tune in to our one self and feel into it, feel for it. I am one self, united with my Creator and at one with every aspect of creation. I am one self. We are one self. What does your one self feel like? See if you can feel your one self breathing you. And now let's imagine the whole planet. Let us breathe as one with the entire planet and all of creation as part of our one self. We are one self, united with our Creator, and at one with every aspect of creation. When you're ready, just gently begin to bring your awareness back to your communication device, your body. Take a breath, yawn, stretch. Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Hi Bridget. Hi Yvonne. Hi Daniel. Lovely to have you in our healing circle today. Bless you. I hear something in the kitchen. Okay. I'm not sure what it is, but I do have mother ears. What's that sound? All right.
Getting a cookie for you.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to do random number generator to see what Spirit would like us to read in A Course in Miracles today. I'm very curious. And so we have, in essence, asked Spirit to choose for us. I have the random number generator app right here that I use, or that I let Spirit use. And so I'm going to now see where we're at, and we're in chapter 2.
Hey.
So hey, back to the beginning. All right, so apparently Spirit wants us to go back to the basics. Let's go. Every once in a while it's good to go back to the basics, just to do a little review of the basics. Thank you very much.
In the blue one.
Okay, perfect, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, and that would be section 6. And section 6 in chapter 2 would be
Fear and conflict.
fear and conflict. Well, I guess we are going back to the basics. I guess we are. Fear and conflict. Chapter 2, section 6. All right. Anybody experienced any fear or conflict this past week? Anybody? Okay. Anybody live on planet Earth? Anybody have a body? All right, okay. Fear and conflict. All right. Finally, a topic we can all relate to. You know, when it talks about heaven and completion, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, it sounds great. I'd love to experience that, but fear and conflict, yeah, I know something about that. All right, here we go. And if one of you watching would be, hi, Patty. If one of you would be willing to type out chapter 2, section 6, that would be very helpful, and thank you. All right, here we go. Everybody have it in your book right here? Here we go. Being afraid seems to be involuntary. I was just walking down the street and fear took me over. It jumped me from behind. Being afraid seems to be involuntary, which means something beyond your own control. Yet I have already said, says our teacher and author of the course, that only constructive acts should be involuntary. So fear should not be involuntary. That's not right. That's not natural. It shouldn't be that fear is the involuntary thing and love is a freaking choice. Okay? Shouldn't be like that. Said only constructive acts should be involuntary, not fear. And then our teacher, the voice of the course, says something really wild. The voice of the course says, my control can take over everything that doesn't matter. Wait a minute, we did this last week.
That's last week.
We did this last week, but it was in the end. It was in the original.
Well.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, yes, but
Yes,
that's because.
but
they
it
read
doesn't
part-
have everything that's in that section we did last week.
definitely did.
Exactly.
What
They
we did
reformatted.
last week was what was edited out of this
Yeah.
edition.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird though?
Yeah.
What are the
Apparently
chances
need more
of
work on that.
Apparently we needed to revisit just what we did last week. Okay.
They went
Very,
into in-depth
very
little stuff last
interesting.
week.
Exactly, but you're right. It doesn't. This is. They took some parts of what we read last week and put it together with other parts. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Okay, thank you very much, Jane, for writing that in there, and you too, Irene. Okay, here we go. It says, our teacher says, my control can take over everything that doesn't matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does matter if you so choose. All right. How would you like that? Would you like the voice of love in you, the loving genius within you to take over everything that doesn't matter? How about that?
Yep,
Would
yep,
that be nice? All the trivial, mundane details of life, all the things that don't really matter. Our loving genius within us can take over all of that doesn't matter while doing what? While its guidance can direct everything that does matter. And all for what? If we choose, if we ask. Then it says, fear cannot be controlled by me, says our teacher, our higher self. but fear can be self-controlled. Wouldn't that be awesome to be able to control your own fear? Instead of like, fear took me over, I had no control over my fear, or my anxiety, or my whatever. You know the term, I had an anxiety attack? Okay, that's a term for when it seems that fear takes you over, and it is not in your control anymore. Okay. Now our teacher is saying, now you can self-control your fear. If you want to learn how to do that, you can. Our teacher is saying, I can't take your fear from you. I can't go, give me that fear, you idiot. Our teacher can't do that. Give me that fear. You know, that doesn't, how do you like the way that feels? You know, I'm going to take your fear from you. Okay, because you're obviously too much of an idiot to do it yourself. Okay. So our teacher says, I can't control your fear for you, but your fear can be controlled by you. It can be self-controlled. But your fear prevents me from giving you my control. My fear, which I can self-control, is preventing me from allowing my teacher to control what doesn't matter and guide me in what does matter. All right, that's what my fear is doing. It's preventing me from giving my teacher control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. Okay, so what does fear mean? I am thinking about the body thoughts to the level of the mind. I'm worried about something around the body. Notice how fear always is something about the body. Okay, you're afraid. Okay, what is it what are the body thoughts that you're thinking about? Okay. He says, now when you raise body thoughts to the level of the mind, this removes your thoughts about the body from love's control, and then makes you feel personally responsible for the body thoughts, which you're now afraid about. And this is an obvious confusion of the levels. Okay, so apparently all the body thoughts, that's all the stuff that doesn't matter. Just in case you're wondering about all the stuff that doesn't matter, that our teacher said it would control for us, it would take over and control it. It's all the stuff about the body. What the body has, what the body does, what the body's doing, what the body does, la 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 la. All the stuff that doesn't matter is all about the body. When we raise body thoughts to the level of the mind and we're thinking about the body, then we are not allowing love, our higher self, to take over all the stuff that has to do with the body. Our guide, our teacher is like, I'll handle the body stuff. If you'll let me, if you so choose, I'll handle all the physical details. All the stuff around the body, all the stuff the body needs, all the stuff that it takes to maintain the body, you know. But if you are thinking about all the body stuff and trying to handle all the body stuff, on all the unimportant stuff yourself, then I can't do it for you. Okay? He says that makes you feel personally control. It makes us feel personally responsible for all the physical details. But we're not supposed to be responsible personally for all the physical details. That's what our teacher is saying. That's not your job. Your job is to keep your mind set on truth. Your job is to keep your mind set on love. Hey, love, what do you want me to do? That's your job. Not to be like, okay, I got to handle all the physical details and logistics of the day. That's what I got to do all day. Okay? He says, you're not supposed to be personally responsible for all the physical, logistical details around your body, which are a lot. Anybody noticed? So what plans do you make through the day that don't involve the body's physical protection, pleasure, or pride? Or outfits. I have to include those for me. What plans do we make that don't involve the body's protection, pleasure, or pride in some way, shape, or form. He said, but that's what you're not supposed to be personally responsible for. That's an obvious confusion of levels. Dang. And that is the same theme from last week, right? Remember last week's class? Mm-hmm. Same thing. The unimportant stuff is the physical details of life. That we're not supposed to be thinking about them. We're supposed to be giving to our higher self, our teacher, all those physical details so that it can handle them, and handle them well, and handle them quickly, so that we can keep our mind focused on what is your will, love? What do you want me to do in this situation, love? What's your perception of this, love? That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's our job. All right, beautiful. Bridget says, sweating, palpitations, rapid breathing, etc. Total confusion. Right, a panic attack. That's when we were like, panic and anxiety just took me over. And in a panic attack, you don't feel like you have any control over your fear. And so it's comforting to me to be reminded, now you can self-control that fear. You are not a victim to your fear. You know, I know it feels like you are sometimes. You know, we've all had that experience where I'll ask people, well, what was going on before you had that panic attack? Nothing. Were you concerned about anything? No. So you were just going about your day and then it just took you over? Yes. So it seems like you have no control over, but this is reminding us it can be self-controlled. And notice what did it just say there about how to self-control your fear? First, understand it. It's something about the body. I'm tripping about something about the body or somebody else's body. How am I going to feed this body? How am I going to feed the body of my kids? You know, the safety of the body, something about the body. So identifying it, this is something about the body. And what are you supposed to do then? Give the control of all the physical stuff to your higher self, to your teacher. And go, teacher, you said you would handle all the unimportant details. Well, here you go. Here's some unimportant details. Okay? So we just heard how you self-control your fear. Now, is that practical or what? Because do we deal with some fear? Some fear that seems out of our control sometimes? Yes, yeah. Very practical first paragraph there. Okay, great. Beautiful. Bridget says, God can't take fear because you believe it is real. Exactly. All right. Paragraph 2. Here, our teacher is still speaking to us directly, saying, I don't foster level confusion between your mind and your body, but you must choose to correct this level confusion, where you're focusing on the level of the body instead of the level of the mind. It says, you would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you couldn't help that insane behavior, right? Well, why should you condone insane thinking? I love that question, right? Nobody would say, well, I just couldn't help but murdering that person. And then they go, oh, I totally get it. No worries. You don't have to go to jail, right? Nobody would what? Excuse insane behavior saying I couldn't help it, right? But we do say, I had fear all day today and I couldn't help it. I hated that person all day today, but I couldn't help it. We don't excuse insane behavior saying I couldn't help it. Why do we excuse insane thinking and say I couldn't help it? I couldn't help my panic. I couldn't help that fear. I couldn't help that depression. I couldn't help that hatred that I had. But that's what we do. We excuse insane thinking, saying we can't help it. Well, I don't have control over my mind. I mean, well, I know I have control over my body, but I don't have any control over my mind. Isn't that wild? We act like that is exactly how we think. I only have control over my body, but I don't have any control over my thinking. Wow. I don't have any control over my fear. I don't have any control over my thinking. All right. Okay, he says, well, there's a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. That's the confusion that it would be really good to look at. You think you can control your behavior, but you think you can't control your thinking? Let's look at that confusion clearly. Okay, let's do that. Well, you may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. And isn't that nice that the author says you may believe that? Isn't that nice? Giving us the benefit of the doubt. And not saying you believe you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level of what you think that you can exercise choice. Interesting. You can't exercise choice at the level of the body. You think you can, but you can really only exercise choice at the level of your thinking. What are you thinking about? You know, we don't act like and believe that we are choosing our thinking. We literally think our thinking is thinking us. That is thinking for us. My mind tells me what I'm thinking. Right? Okay. So it says, but the truth is that what you do comes from what you think. That's why you don't exercise choice at the level of behavior, because your behavior is not coming from your behavior. Your behavior is coming from what you are thinking. And you cannot separate yourself from this truth by, quote, giving autonomy to your behavior. You can't separate yourself from that. Well, I couldn't help what my body did. I couldn't help what my body did. That person made me mad, and I just couldn't help but, you know, stick my leg out and trip them. I couldn't help it. You can't separate yourself from the truth by saying, I couldn't help my behavior. All right. And guess what? This is the good news. Your behavior is controlled by love, by your teacher, automatically as soon as you place what you think under your teacher's guidance. Wow. How would you like that? How would you like your behavior to be controlled automatically by a loving, brilliant, hilarious genius in your mind that's on your side all the time? How would you like your behavior to be controlled by a loving genius? Anyone? Well, for me, that'd be a big improvement. So I said, yeah, I would like that. How do you do that? How do you have your behavior automatically controlled by a loving genius who's unlimited in its power? How do you do that? Here's what you do. You place what you're thinking under the guidance of the loving genius in your mind, your higher self, your teacher. Wow. I place what I'm thinking under your guidance, love, because that would be a big improvement for what I'm thinking right now. And I don't think I want my behavior to be automatically controlled by the thinking I am doing right now. I'm sad, mad, depressed, angry, upset, feel like a victim. I don't think that's really the best kind of thinking to have your behavior automatically controlled by. How about you? Nah, you don't want your behavior controlled by thinking like we do. But it sure explains a lot, eh? It sure explains why there's a lot of insane behavior going on in the world. And whenever you're afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate, which means you have not allowed love to guide your thinking. That's what fear means. Fear means I have not allowed love to guide my thinking. That's what fear means. Fear is not natural. Fear is not automatic. Fear is not involuntary. Fear came from a choice. The anxiety came from a choice. The depression came from a choice. The despair came from a choice. The hatred came from a choice. Okay? And the choice was, I chose to do my own thinking about the body myself, and I did not ask love to guide or control my thinking. That's why I'm afraid right now. That's why I'm anxious. That's why I'm depressed. That's why I'm angry. That's what it means. And that's why I'm not upset for the reason I think. Because you're not, if you're upset because of anything besides what we just said, you are not upset for the reason you think. All right. Let's take a breath on that. Okay, any questions or comments on those first two paragraphs about fear?
So, elsewhere in the course, I believe he talks about the principle that it's not only how we behave is based on our thinking, but that our feelings ultimately come from our thinking as well.
That's right.
And you mentioned both of those in the examples that you were giving, both behavior and feelings. So it makes sense that if I'm consistently thinking loving thoughts, then I logically will have to the extent that I'm improving my consistency in that, I'm going to consistently feel and behave more lovingly.
Yes, right. Yes, and did I say something about feelings? What did I say about feelings?
Well, you talked about depression.
Oh, I see.
Sadness.
Yes, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Yes.
So I think they're parallel. They're parallel examples. And the clarification that I want to ask about the use of the word miscreation. So it's my anger and my depression that are examples of my miscreation?
Yep. Yes. Whenever I am not allowing love to guide my thinking, I'm miscreating.
Behaviors and feelings.
Yes, I'm miscreating, meaning I'm thinking for myself fearfully. I'm choosing to think fear myself, and then my behavior is being directed by my wrong thinking. Wrong thinking, miscreating. Wrong thinking, miscreating. Fear thinking, miscreating. Yes. And my understanding of what A Course in Miracles is saying, that feelings all come from thinking, thoughts. That feelings are an effect. I know that there are many other spiritual, psychological things out there that say that the feeling comes first, but that's not what A Course in Miracles says. That everything is caused from the level of the mind, which is the level of thoughts. Okay? And that emotions are just the effect of the thoughts. And like fear is an emotion. The Course in Miracles says fear is an emotion. Love is an emotion, but it's coming from the thoughts. Okay? So there's my thoughts that I'm thinking separately from love, and then there's love's thoughts. Okay? All right. And I like that whenever I'm afraid, like I just brought to awareness a time in the past week where I was really afraid. And I wish that what I had done back there, instead of let my fearful thoughts direct my actions, including my words, I wish that I had thought to say, I'm afraid, love, please guide my thinking right now before I do something stupid, something I will regret. That's what I wish I had done. But, you know, we're learning, and so now, next time we experience fear, we know better to say, I'm thinking about the body, I'm personally taking responsibility for something around the body. What they said, what they did, what I said, what should I do, what did I do, what did I say, and something about the body, which is not what I'm supposed to be thinking about, what their body did, what their body said, what my body said, what my body did. That's not what I'm supposed to be thinking about. That's not my job, okay? What I'm supposed to be doing is asking love to guide my thinking for me, and then love will automatically control what I should do and say with my body. And then if I had done that in that situation, then whatever I would have done and said with my body would have been resulted in more love for everybody. Yes.
What is sadness in relation to fear? Or like sadness?
Sadness is another form of fear.
Totally.
Sadness is another form of fear. Depression is a form of fear. Anxiety is a form of fear. The Course in Miracles says there's only two kinds of thoughts, love or fear.
Right.
And then the Course says also there's only two emotions, love or fear. You know, and all the other emotions come from love or fear. They're all another synonym of love or fear. So anxiety, depression, sadness, sickness, you know, anything that's not happy and loving is another expression or form of fear.
And that's what the Course is talking about when it says death. Because fear is the death of love. Sadness is the death of joy and happiness. And so all those are ego attributes.
Beautiful.
They're all in the same category.
That's
They
right.
suck.
They hurt. Great question and great feedback, Greg. Beautiful. Okay, now is this practical or what? Things we all deal with. We all deal with love. We all deal with fear and conflict. And we're all like, oh, it really sucks, and oh, I feel so out of control. I feel at the mercy of my fear. And we all have different forms of fear that feels like it takes us over. Sometimes it's anger, which is a fear seeming to be involuntary and taking us over, and and guiding our actions.
That's my most favorite possession.
Yeah, that's your most favorite form of fear. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because anger is a form of fear that at least you feel like you guys, gives you some kind of power. Whereas other forms of fear, you feel helpless and weak. But fear is a form. Anger is a form of fear that doesn't make you feel powerful in the end. It makes you feel more weak and more vulnerable in the end. So. All right. Beautiful. Okay, great. Irene says, I'm afraid. Love, please guide my thinking. Very good. All right. And Paris also said, love, guide my thinking right now, please, with a few exclamation points on it. Right on, Paris. I join you in that prayer. Okay, paragraph 3. It is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of your fear, your misthought, can result in healing. Okay? That's what we do. We get afraid, and then there's an outcome of that fear, and then we're like, oh crap, now I have to control the effects of my fear. Right? I chose fear, I got a bad effect from it, a fearful effect, and then I'm like, oh, now I gotta control that person. No. That person and what they said and did is just the outcome of your fear. And controlling the effects of your fear is not going to result in healing. It's not going to result in peace, but that's what we do. We've got this effect that's really coming from our fear. We don't realize it's coming from our fear. We think it's coming from them. And then we try to control them. Thinking, well, if I could just control them, I'll have peace. If I can just control that symptom of my fear, I'll be happy. But he says that's pointless. And you would think we would know it's pointless by now, but we're kind of slow. We're kind of slow on the uptake. We're kind of slow at noticing patterns. Okay. Every time I've ever tried to control anything outside, seemingly outside of me, it did not result in more peace. It didn't result in healing. All right. He says, and when you are fearful, it just means you have chosen wrongly. That's what that means. Okay? It doesn't mean you're in a scary world. It doesn't mean people are mean. It doesn't mean people are crazy. When you're afraid, it means you have chosen wrongly. Wow, I love that reminder. And because you've chosen wrongly, that's why you feel responsible for that fear. Why do I feel responsible for that fear? Because it's coming from my wrong choice. And so that's why you must change your mind, not your behavior. Dang. And changing your mind is a matter of willingness. Well, how do you change your mind? That sounds difficult. How do you change your mind? Do you have to go into therapy for 20 years? No. You change your mind by being willing to. That's it. Just being willing. I'm willing. But most of us, including myself, would rather suffer in hell than go, oh, this is coming from my mind. I would like to change my mind. Right? Most of us would rather suffer to the max with the effects of our fear than say, I am willing to change my mind. Dang. Yikes. And that's all right. We can it's still just a matter of changing our mind, and that is just a matter of willingness. And that's why you don't need guidance except at the mind level. You don't need guidance. Well, what should I do about this? And what should I do about that? And what should I do about this? And how should I handle that? And which really means, how can I control that? And how can I control them? And how can I control this? That's what that really means. How can I control this effect? How can I control this symptom? How can I control that symptom? How can I control them? When you're asking, what should I do about that? What should I do about them? You're really saying, how can I control that symptom that came from my mind? And we don't need guidance at the level of behavior. We need guidance only at the level of our mind. We only should be going, how should I think about that, love? Love, how should I think about that? Spirit, how should I think about that? How should I think about this? How should I interpret this, love? How should I interpret this, love? It's a great thing to do before you smack someone. It's a great thing to do before you speak when you're angry. The best thing you can do is say, love, love. You still there, love? I know I've ignored you for a while now, but even though I've been ignoring you for hours, love, and thinking all for myself, what should I think? I'd like to know what you how you would guide my thinking. Love, I'm gonna put my thinking under your guidance now, love. I've been thinking by myself for hours now, and you know, and there is some crappy effects going on. I do not like what I'm feeling right now. And neither do the people around me, by the way. It says you do not need guidance except at the mind level. And another way of saying that is correction of what's going on belongs only at the level where change is possible. And change doesn't mean anything at the symptom level where change cannot work. Change cannot work at the symptom level. Are you trying to change something that you don't like at the symptom level? Are you trying to control the people and the events and places around you? Yeah, well, it ain't gonna work. And yet, nothing's gonna change. You trying to control all the effects of what's going on around you. It just doesn't work. It's not bad. It's not evil. You're not stupid. You're not an idiot. It just don't work. That's all. It just don't work. You're not guilty. It just doesn't work. You're not a failure. You're just doing something that doesn't work. You're not an idiot. You're just trying to do something that doesn't work. That's all. And thank God there is something that you can do that does work. And that's stop trying to control the effects of your misthinking, meaning your fear. You know, this upsetting situation, experience is coming from your fear. You produced it with your fearful thoughts, your fearful thinking. You know, and it can be undone and corrected by putting your thinking under the guidance of something that's loving and only loving. Your higher mind is something that's only loving, and it will guide your thinking if you are willing. You know, but sometimes I'd rather suffer than be wrong about my thinking.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd rather suffer and have everybody else around me suffer right along with me. You're welcome. Just because I'm not willing to be wrong about what I'm thinking. Sometimes in other lifetimes I was willing to die before I would say I'm willing to be wrong about my thinking. I'd rather die than be wrong about what I'm thinking about this situation or myself. Dang, now that's, and our higher self's like, that's all right. Thank God there's no death. That's all right. You're eternal. Take as long as you want. Knock yourself out. Go have 20 more lifetimes. But I just don't want to do 20 more. I don't even want to do one more lifetime here. I want to graduate. For real. I know that there are schools beyond this one that are peaceful and safe and abundant and loving, where you don't have to earn your right to live. You don't have to work for a living. You don't have to earn your right to live. Dang, that's cold. I'm gonna graduate this school. This is definitely the school of hard knocks. And it's not, and it's just kindergarten. It's not all there is. It's just kindergarten. But you can't get you can't graduate from kindergarten while you're still like, you know, I don't think my own thoughts all the time. And then I'm going to act out of my crazy thoughts. Without ever asking, without ever being willing to have my thoughts and my thinking guided by a higher, more loving mind. So I want to graduate. So I'm motivated. All right. Beautiful. Irene says, you're not a failure. You're just doing something that doesn't work. Irene also says, this can be undone by putting your thinking under higher guidance, but sometimes I'd rather suffer than be wrong. That's exactly what I said, Irene. Amazing. Irene says, I want to graduate from this school, and it's just kindergarten. Then she says, I'm motivated. Me too. All right, paragraph 4. Now, It says the correction of fear is your responsibility. And so when you ask for release from fear, you are implying that fear is not your responsibility. So it's not about saying, take this fear from me. It's about saying, this fear is coming from my thinking, and I would like my thinking to be corrected by love. Do you see? So it's not, we're not saying, he's saying, don't ask your teacher to take the fear from you. That came from you. It didn't come from your teacher. Your teacher's like, don't ask me to take your fear from you. I didn't give you that fear. It's not coming from me. That's coming from you. And if I take that fear from you, it's as if I gave it to you. It's as if it's like it happened to you involuntarily. So our teacher is like, no. That's not how fear gets corrected. The correction of fear is our responsibility. And so don't ask for release from fear because we're implying that fear didn't come from us. What you should ask instead is for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. Spirit, higher mind, I ask for help in the conditions that have brought this fear about in my mind. Okay? Now, what about the conditions in my mind that have brought the fear about? Well, what was going on in my mind that brought the fear about entailed my willingness to be separate. I was willing to be separate, different, alone, separate, different, alone. I was willing to be separate and different. And then the condition was right for fear. That's how the fear came about. Okay? I'm willing to be separate and different from source, from others, and then now I'm afraid. Now, at the level of your willingness to be separate, you can help that fear. Okay? So if you go to that level, the conditions that made that fear possible in your mind, now you can help yourself to not be afraid. Wow. He says, hi, Kelly. I love your name, Kelly Belly. That's awesome. Kelly Belly. It sounds like a song. All right. Then it says, you are much too tolerant of mind wandering.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. Nobody can argue with that. Nobody can argue with that. It says, and what does that mean when you say, teacher, that I am much too tolerant of my mind wandering? It means we are passively excusing our mind's misthinking. We are passively condoning our mind's wrong thinking. You know, I'm like thinking wrongly all day long, and I'm just like do 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 la di da di da da, having no idea that I am miscreating all over the place. Miscreating all over the place, and then every place I leave, there's a big miscreation mess. Now I'm going to have all the effects of miscreation in my body, in my relationship, you know.
There's a pile of miscreation.
Exactly. Ew, it stinks in here. Somebody misthinking, miscreating, ooh. Somebody light some incense.
It's like you're holding a hose that's out of control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's getting miscreated.
Exactly. He says you are much too tolerant of mind wandering, which means you are passively excusing your mind's misthinking. Okay. He says, now the particular result of your misthinking, you know, the little piles of misthought crap, the particular results of your misthinking, all the things you're upset about, don't matter. Those piles of misthinking doo-doo don't matter. The effects of your fear, the effects of your fear thinking don't matter. But the fundamental error of your thinking fear thoughts does. Okay, so it's don't get sidetracked about the effects of your fearful thoughts. You know, like, oh no, people now are going to see that, you know, oh no, now how do I control the effects that came from my fear thinking? You know, don't worry about the effects of your fearful thoughts. That's not great. He said that's not your responsibility. Your job, your responsibility is to look at the conditions that brought about the misthinking in your mind. You know, and look at your mind and your thoughts. So it says the correction is always the same. Your thinking. Your thinking. Your thinking. The correction is always the same. And what did he say about the correction? All it is your willingness to allow your thinking to be guided by a higher loving mind, called spirit, called love, called whatever you want to call it. Instead of a willingness to separate. Exactly. Instead of a willingness to separate. Which we are well practiced at. Exactly. What we do is we try to control the effects or the symptoms. What came from our fearful thinking, we're going to try to control it. You know, that's what we've been doing, thinking this will work. But it's saying that he says the correction is always the same. A willingness to look at my own fear thoughts and to ask the higher loving mind to guide my thinking. That the correction is always, it doesn't matter what the effect is. It doesn't matter what the symptom is. Is it a cold? Is it a cancer? Is it a relationship issue? Is it a global warming? Is it climate change? Is it a financial problem? Is it, it doesn't matter what the effect of your wrong thinking is. Don't matter. The correction is always the same. Whether you stubbed your toe or it's cancer. Whether it's a relationship issue or a global problem. The correction is always the same. And what is the correction? Here's the correction. Before you choose to do or say anything, ask me, love, your higher loving mind, if your choice is in accord with mine, says your higher self. And if you are sure that your choice, your thinking is in alignment with love's thinking, then there will be no fear. The correction is always the same. Wow. That's really difficult for us.
Yes.
Before we choose to do anything or say anything, especially the saying part. Before you choose to say or do anything, ask love, ask your higher loving mind if what you're about to do, if what you're about to say is in alignment with the loving thinking of your higher self.
Yeah. Fear is fear, no matter how you slice it.
Yes. Now, if you're thinking, if what you're about to say or do is in alignment with love's thinking, then there won't be any fear.
Okay, I got a question, and it's about the history of the past, basically. So I don't know, it's really hard, I find, for myself to forgive someone, and I'll forgive someone, but then I'll still have the emotional memory bank is what I call it, that lives there, and I try and process these emotions so that I really can forgive the person or whatever. But then I still find I have residual anger, or I'm still upset, or I'm still hurt, or I'm still in pain, or I'm still in fear for feeling separated. It's really hard. I don't know. So
yes,
does that make sense? And
not only do we. So what you were saying is that let's say you have a grievance with somebody and you're asking for forgiveness and you're working on doing the work to forgive them, but you notice you still have residual anger, and then you said it's very difficult. Yes, and when you still have the residual anger, then you will say and do a bunch of stuff before you ask for love's, if what you're about to say or do is in alignment with love's thinking.
No, well, it's like I can still choose to do the loving things, but the pain and the anger is still there.
Gotcha. And it's
maybe not always.
Yes, gotcha. And all that means is that you have not fully yet accepted love's thinking about that person or that event. You have a willingness, but your willingness has not been complete yet. It's a partial willingness. I'm willing to be willing to forgive, but you still haven't been gone. Spirit, please completely guide my thinking about this person or this event or this situation. When you have fully been completely willing to allow love to guide your thinking, there will be no fear, which means there will be no more grievance. And so until that time, you just know that you're ready. You haven't experienced mastery. The Course in Miracles says, remember, readiness is not mastery. And so you tell yourself, I'm still at the readiness. I'm still getting to the readiness. I'm still building up my motivation. And that's good. That's the process.
We're always upset because we are convinced that we still are a good witness to what happened in that story.
Yes.
And we're trying to forgive them, even though we know what happened. But the truth is, that's why it says in paragraph 4 in sentence 2, even though you're responsible and everything, you should ask instead for the help in the conditions, not to change anything or to forgive them.
I had to write that down.
In the conditions. And then until you get that right, like Anna said, once you see, oh, that's what happened, you're revisiting the conditions, the story again.
Yes.
Because that's where the error is made, is a misinterpretation.
Yes.
Even though it might horrify you, your interpretation, and you can't see how it can be seen any other way. There is another way if the way you're seeing it isn't peaceful. There has to be another way.
So you're saying if you get stuck in your story.
Yeah, and that loop is so hard
Yeah.
to get out of because our story is so convincing that we're right. There's no other way to see it.
Exactly. It's
The
like,
only way that
Exactly.
I'm seeing it that it's upsetting me. It's the only way to see it.
yes, exactly. I'm trying to forgive what they did,
What they didn't do.
but I'm wrong in my perception about what I think they did.
So, and I have a question about.
How do I know I'm wrong? Because I'm upset. I'm so angry.
So like I like looking at other perspectives and being like, I really can have compassion for it, and I can see it, and I can see the way that they tried their best or whatever transpired or what happened the way it did. And I still feel sad. I still feel sad. I feel grief, and then I feel grief for their grief, and then it's like, it's like there's no healing happening.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because you're still thinking, you're still misthinking. You're still thinking that you understand what went down and why and how. You're still thinking you understand the why and the how of what happened. Okay. Oh, because I can, you're trying to be empathetic. You're trying to be like, I'm trying to understand why they did it and why it came about, trying to be empathetic. but you're still thinking you know what happened and what it meant and why they did it and why you did it. You're still misthinking, you're still misperceiving, even though you're pretty sure that you're seeing it accurately, like Greg was saying. You're sure you're seeing it accurately. You know, you're just thinking that you're seeing it empathetically. But if you still have any kind of form of fear, then you are misthinking about it. And you only have allowed love to guide your thinking and to really explain to you what's really going on when you have the effect of peace. Yes, Lynette?
This
Great
is
question.
the thing I think about when you said that, what you did, that would just work perfect.
Yes.
And it says, before
Yes.
you choose to do anything and think you're right, ask me if your choice is in accord with God's.
Yes.
And if you're sure that it is, then there will be no fear, no doubt, no anger, no confusion, and no reason to have to ask the question at all.
That's right.
Or to forgive anymore.
Exactly. And you know that you have allowed love to completely guide your thinking, and you have received, the way love sees it, the way love thinks about it, when there's there's no grievance anymore. I had an experience where I had a very, very, very close relationship of many, many, many years tell me, don't ever contact me again. You know, and like that was the end of that relationship. Like, we're done. And for a couple of years, I was like working on forgiveness, like trying to see it lovingly, trying to forgive, but I had all this anger. Like, it was like anger, and I'm like working on it. I'm a Course in Miracles teacher. I'm working on it. But but literally, one day I was doing this. I'm like, Spirit, what is the truth about the matter? Please guide my thinking. And Spirit told me something about it that literally had never crossed my mind. Literally, Spirit was like, their higher self protected you from their ego because they love you. And I was like,
Say that again.
my love said their higher self protected you from your ego out of its love for you. And I was like, what? It was not that was the opposite. That thought never crossed my mind. But when I heard it, I had immediate peace. And I had been struggling with anger, struggling to forgive for like 2 years. Working on it, really working on it.
Are you saying that when they rejected you, it was actually their higher self protecting you?
Out of their higher self's love for me.
For you.
And
So they reject you so they're not around you anymore to hurt you.
Exactly. And that thought had never crossed my mind.
Me either.
In all those 2 years of like learning to forgive, you know, like, oh, well, they just didn't know, or they're scared, or whatever, all the things, empathetic, you know. But when I heard love's thinking on the matter, it was obviously not what I had thought at all, not even close, but I had immediate peace.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I see. And when I got love's thinking on the matter, there was nothing else to forgive. All I had was gratitude. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, bless you, thank you. All I had was gratitude. There was no more grievance to forgive. There was only gratitude. My gratitude to their higher self. Because, and I recognized their higher self's gratitude to my higher self, and I was like, wow, woo, okay, I gotcha. So I'm just sharing that as an example.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
That really helped.
Good.
Thank you, because I just had a aha for me. It just popped it open for me.
Yeah.
That's why we're not supposed to judge anything
Yes.
because we don't know.
Exactly. And you'll know that forgiveness has occurred. What is forgiveness? Correct perception, love's thinking. You'll know that you've received it from your willingness when you realize there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forgive. There's only something to be grateful for. And I mean real gratitude. Real like, oh, like that kind of gratitude.
That's when you know you got this interpretation right.
That's how you know when your thinking is in alignment with love's thinking.
Yeah.
That's when you've been willing to, and that's the result of willingness to let your thinking be guided, meaning corrected by love, by your higher self.
And is that finding the gratitude in everything?
I think so. To me, that's what forgiveness really
Part of
means.
it, yeah.
That's to me. That's what forgiveness is. Not I forgive you for what you did. Now I can't forget it,
Right.
and I'm not gonna let myself get close to you ever again. But I forgive you. You know, that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is like, thank
Yeah, I'm
you.
grateful that
Thank
you showed me like this kind of
Yes.
thing or whatever in myself.
I could have never learned that lesson if you hadn't taken the risk to come into my crazy life. You know, we should have only gratitude for people being willing to be in relationship with us who don't know how to love yet, who are still allowing our behavior to be guided by our fear thoughts. We should be like, because if you didn't come in, how long would it have taken me to learn that? So thank you. You just saved me probably a few more lifetimes here in Crazy Town. And I do mean Crazy Town.
So intense. Oh my god. Okay.
And if I might offer,
Please.
and if I might offer, in a section that we did recently, the Test of Truth,
Okay.
chapter 14, there's this prayer
Yes.
that if nothing else, it's a prayer to open my mind to willingness.
Oh, okay.
I do not know what anything, including this, means, and so I do not know how to respond to it. And I will not use my own past learning as the light to guide me now. That is such a profound prayer.
It is.
I am grateful every time I remember to
Me
use
too.
it.
It's a miracle.
That's like the
It's
first
a
word
miracle
for blessings,
anytime we
isn't it?
remember to say that
Like, I
prayer.
don't know what anything means.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
We did it a
the
few weeks
the
ago.
workbook lesson is surely built on this idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
which page is this on?
Chapter 14.
298 in my book.
Okay, I feel like I wrote those.
It is a miracle whenever we say that. Like, and that's the perfect thing. It says, because here's the instruction. It really says, listen, if you want your fearful thinking, which produced all the crap, to be corrected, then it says, before you choose to do or say anything, ask me if your thinking is in alignment with mine. It says, look, as another way of doing that is to say, before you choose to do or say anything, say to yourself, I do not know what anything, including this, means. And so I don't know how to respond to it. And I will not use my past as the light to guide me now.
That's so good.
You know, that is a symbol of your willingness. When you say, I don't know what anything means, I don't know what this is, I don't know what it's for, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't understand it, you are saying, I am willing, higher mind, spirit, love, I am willing
To be guided.
to be guided by your thinking in place of mine right now. That's what you're saying. You know, you're saying, I'm willing to not be defending what I think, even if it means this don't get corrected and we all suffer. I love it. And thank God it's just about willingness to not defend your thinking, but open your thinking up for correction and guidance. It's so easy. It's so easy, but we are so addicted to being right about what we're thinking, about our story, our interpretation, which is our grievance. We're so addicted to our interpretation and our grievance, all synonyms, that we would rather suffer and keep everybody in hell with us than to say, I'm willing to be wrong
Yeah.
about this.
That's one of my favorites. Says, you know, would you rather be right or happy?
Would you rather be right or
Because that
happy?
has saved my bacon
Absolutely.
so many times.
Me too.
And every form of the way they say it in the book.
Exactly.
I love it.
And these are all the things that you're all saying, that we're all saying. These are all the things to do. He says, you know, you can't excuse your fearful thinking, saying you can't help it. You can control what you're thinking. You can control yourself before you act, before you speak. You can control yourself. You can control your mind. You can control your behavior. And you can say this before you say or do something, especially if you're upset. Especially if you're upset.
That's when you're
That's-
trying to be right all the time. Is
Yes.
when you're upset.
Exactly, and that is when you should, most of all, don't act on your thinking. Don't take action. Don't act. Don't speak. If you are upset, if you are not happy, then do not act or speak before you ask love to guide your thinking, where you put your thinking under love's guidance and ask love if your thinking is in alignment with love's thinking. That's the last time, that's when you least should be doing or saying anything. At least, you know, at least don't act or speak before you do this, before you ask. You ever seen those signs, on a, property, it says, ask
first before
ask-
putting on this.
ask first before going on this property. Ask first. Ask first before you make an ass of yourself. All right, there's a bumper sticker. All right, beautiful. And Bridget, good reminder, Bridget says, takes practice.
Yes.
Takes practice. Thank you for that
Takes
reminding.
That's why we're in this
life.
school.
And that's why we're here. That's why
right.
that's the school we're in.
And we chose a great one to
And
practice.
exactly. Yes. And us here in this class, this is actually the graduate level for Earth.
Graduate kindergarten.
Yeah, this is graduate kindergarten. Exactly. This is graduate kindergarten.
Oh, I thought we were getting something when you say graduate.
Graduate level, right. Of the kindergarten level. It's the high end of the kindergarten level. So you should feel good about yourself tonight. You should feel
Still
good about
believing
yourself.
that
You're at
we're
the
body,
graduate
that
level of
death is
kindergarten.
real, and that there is no God. It's like there's no oneness. We're not one energy.
A lot of people haven't even enrolled in school yet.
Exactly.
Still rolling around in poop.
Yes, exactly. Still picking up your poop and throwing it at other people.
Yes.
Some people are still at that level. They haven't even enrolled in kindergarten. They're still pooping and throwing the poop at each other. Very primitive. Very primitive. In other words, still misthinking fear and projecting that fear. Wow. Well, I'm shocked, but it's 8:23. I'm like, I just looked down. I'm like, whoa. Wow. Okay. So why don't we stop here? I
Pretty
think
good
that's.
for a recap.
What'd you say?
Pretty good for a recap.
Yeah.
Class.
No doubt. Wow. How many? What was that? 4 paragraphs? Yeah. Not bad for 4 paragraphs. Not bad for a class. 4 paragraphs. So. And you guys are amazing. I really like you guys. Your level of willingness and awareness literally just takes the experience to a whole nother level. And you guys too, same thing online. Wow, it's like this vortex.
Yes.
So thank you for that. All right. So I'm just gonna do some announcements. We'll do the love offering. And we don't need to pass the basket around. You can just do the love offering before you leave. And thank you for that. Thank you for coming out to the Miracle Center on this cold night. I really appreciate that, more than I can say. I know that when it comes to getting your body dressed up for a cold night and driving on a dark, cold night, that's like, it's very easy to go, yeah, I'll just watch it. I'll just watch it on Facebook. So I really appreciate it, because if we didn't have people bringing their bodies out to the Miracle Center, then, you know, there'd be no reason for a Miracle Center. So, okay, beautiful. Announcements are, Greg and I do classes, 3 classes a week, and in Sunday, Greg and I.
Spider?
Oops, Little Miss Muffet. Sundays, Greg and I do Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles on Facebook, 7 p.m. And we are going deep. We're going deep, really crazy deep. I'm amazed that our ego has allowed us to stay alive.
Thank
after.
you.
Thank you, dear.
Brave girl.
A really brave girl. Wow, I'm
She
very
wasn't
impressed.
surprised by it.
So
Okay.
Sundays, Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles on Facebook, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And on Sundays here at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center, every Sunday there is a 12:30 in-person class here at the Miracle Center. And there's a rotation of wonderful Course in Miracles teachers. I'm one of them, Matt is one of them. And so if you would like a Sunday class, we have a really great group that comes here on Sunday, and that's 12:30, again, Mountain Time, here in person at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center. We have a great time. If you're in the area, come on down. Okay, great. And then Greg and I do on Tuesdays on Facebook a 7 p.m. Facebook class called Silver Miracles and Golden Dreams, where we are talking about sovereignty through truth and silver. So that's what we're into these days. So check it out. It's really also very deep. I'm also surprised that our ego has not tried to kill us after doing that class. All these classes are getting so deep that, you know, there's a part of me that can feel my ego being like, oh no, you didn't say that. Oh, you know what we do to people who speak truth like you do. My ego's like getting nervous. That's how deep it's been in terms of truth telling. So, all right, given all that, now we're going to do an integration meditation for a couple of minutes, where we just breathe, and we are going to actually do something crazy radical and do what the section said to do. So close your eyes and breathe, and just relax. Just notice how you feel having heard these ideas from A Course in Miracles. Notice how it feels to hear these ideas in a circle of mighty companions that, just like you, desire the healing of their mind, so that their mind isn't dominated by fear. So I want you to bring to your awareness a situation or a relationship where you have been experiencing fear. Where is it that you're experiencing fear or conflict right now, or had been in the past week? Now I want want you to tell yourself the truth about this fear or conflict, and I want you to say to yourself, this fear that I'm feeling in this situation is not involuntary. It has come from my wrong thinking, my misperception. I want you to tell yourself this fear or this conflict did not happen to me uninvited. And now I want you to look to see what was the physical thing that the fear attached itself to. Fear is always coming from bringing something about the body up to the level of the mind. So what was it that your mind was upset about relative to your body, their body, what their body said or did, what your body said or did, what their body might do or say? What was it that your fear attached itself to or projected itself upon, physically speaking, in your world? What was it that you did to try to control the effect of your fearful thoughts in that situation? What is it you did to try to control that effect? Did you try to control their behavior? Did you try to control your behavior? Did you try to change their behavior? Did you try to change your behavior? Did you attack what their body said or did? Did you attack yourself for what your body said or did? And how did that work out? Did it bring you peace of mind? And now I want you to hear the Course in Miracles tell you you must change your mind, not your behavior. You must change your mind, not their behavior. And tell yourself, the conflict I am experiencing is not coming from their behavior or my behavior or what physically happened. It's coming from the fear thinking in my mind that I willingly chose. Tell yourself the truth. Now I want you to tell yourself, the only guidance and help I need right now is at the level of my thinking. My thinking. only help, the only thing that will help, the only thing that will change this or correct this is my thinking. About this situation and me and them. Now I want you to tell yourself the only way any kind of change for the better can happen is at the level of my mind. And now I want you to ask yourself, am I willing to place my thinking under a higher, more loving mind's guidance? Am I willing to allow my thinking to be corrected by love? Am I willing? Or do I still prefer to suffer some more just to be right about my thinking? Ask yourself this question. Now, I want you to keep looking at this situation and see where you acted or spoke from your fearful thinking, and notice what the result was. And now, imagining this situation or event, imagine yourself before you spoke or acted from your fear or anger. Imagine yourself asking love, your higher mind, if your thinking about this is in alignment with its thinking about this. Imagine yourself doing that. Imagine yourself saying to love, love, higher mind, I ask you to guide my thinking around this topic, around this situation. Please guide my thinking right now and fast. Love, I place my thinking under your guidance right now. And now let's listen for love's guidance, for love's thought about the matter. Love, how does this look to you? Love, what do you think about this? What do you see here, love? Love, what's happening right now? notice how this situation that you brought to your awareness looks and feels to you now. Does it look different? Do you feel different about it? Now let's thank the higher mind, our teacher, our higher self. Thank you. Thank you for doing what you said you would do. You said that if I placed my thinking under your guidance, that I would have peace. That all the effects of my misthought would be undone and corrected for me. And you did that. You actually did what you said you would do. Thank you. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, higher mind. Thank you, love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And higher mind, love. For everything, I ask you to decide for love for me. Even when I forget and think I want to think for myself, even when I am too tolerant of mind wandering and condoning my mind's misthought, I give you power of attorney over my thinking. And I ask you to guide my thinking always. Even when I have forgotten to control my own thinking and give it to you for guidance. I give you power of attorney over my thinking. Beautiful. To that we say, amen. When you're ready, take a breath, bring your awareness back. Woo! Way to practice. Way to practice. Good job. Good job, guys. Way to love yourself. Way to love yourself. Way to heal your life. Way to heal your mind and heal your life. Good job. Way to heal your world. This is how you heal your world. You allow your thinking to be corrected by love. Good job. Good job, guys. You guys are awesome. All right. See you next time I see you. So happy to be you.